All right, we've got Bill Cull.
Hello.
Hey, Bill.
Hey, hi. Thank you all.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank
Is this your first time on the set here on Around Town with us?
With you all, yes.
Okay,
It
great.
is, yeah.
Well,
I've been, no, not been paying proper attention. I should have already asked you to be here, but anyway, thank you for letting me come.
Absolutely. We want to get into all the things that are happening at the Grand with fall, as far as concerts and movies and events and stuff. But maybe let's step back a little bit and talk maybe more about the history of the theater and what the last few years have been about. Why don't you share a little bit, if people don't know, what the history of the Grand is a little bit.
Yeah. Well, of course, it goes back to 1911. It was the Vaudeville House, and that was a single building that until 1940 did vaudeville shows. It seated 150 people. Then in the kind of beginning of the heydays of movies during World War II, Checkers Theater bought an adjacent L to the build that went over to Main Street, tore it down, and created the theater that was a movie theater until the mid-'60s when it closed. Like many, they built out in the shop, both Brighton Park and Franklin Square, which Checkers also operated those, but so they closed down it, and then ultimately the Capitol Theater shortly after. But anyway, we put together a deal, bought the building in 2005, and put together financing, and opened. It'll be 14 years this on September 25th that we will have been open. And with the exception of the COVID period, have done 13 seasons, I think is the correct number that we're now in. But so we've been there a while, and we've increased our numbers of people. We went down, obviously, during COVID, but we did over 15,000 in the theater, and the year ended May 31 of 23. We operate on that calendar year, but we're back.
So when you guys made the purchase in 2005, how long had it been, I don't know if abandoned is a word, but sort of empty and unused?
Well, it was first some kind of retail. I can't remember not a J.C. Penney's, but something like that. And then Jim Morris had it as his offices, and he had, for you that have been around here long enough, he had antique furniture auctions that would occur, and he had a big glass window that you would see the furniture in on Main Street, which is now where we have our coming attractions board for the theater. But then we bought it from him, and then converted it back to what it was. You didn't even know it was a theater because there was a drop ceiling, but it was still there.
Wow.
So it's and of course the balcony was where, when it was open, black people were forced to sit. They could come to the theater, but they couldn't sit on the first floor with the white audience. So
Now, is there some kind of special program about the stories from the balcony? I've heard that.
yeah, we are doing a film. We did a number of interviews. Actually, Joanna Hay, who lives here, did when she was on our board back in 2006, that period when we were trying to do the theater, with people who, mostly black people, who had been up in the balcony. And we're now going forward to create the film that we would then both show in the theater and then do more to tell people about that history of
I think that's
segregation.
amazing.
Yeah, it is. And there are several that did interviews then that frankly are no longer with us, but she's going to start interviewing tomorrow some who are.
Oh, wow.
Still, and we hope in the next 3 or 4 months to get those interviews done and then create a film that we'll show next spring in the theater. We're really excited about that because it's really important to understand our past, what exactly it tells us. We sort of were less segregated, but we still were segregated, but society, we did Martin Luther King's March here was in 1964. And then, of course, the Civil Rights Act in Kentucky passed in 66. So, it took time,
When you were going through the facility, sort of, I don't know if it's the first time or what, are there any good stories of things you found or, you tore down a wall and you're like, oh my gosh, look at this?
Well, we found, for one thing, that when you enter on the left was the very primitive type painted plaster from the Vaudeville House. And, of course, that had been covered up in 1941 when it opened. Very little of the theater until we had there was a flat concrete floor, which the theater slope went down toward the stage. And we had to crack, and we had a guy, Danny Fuqua, who lives here, who with a jackhammer, whatever the small piece of equipment is that you can use like a bobcat, I guess. Yeah, he jackhammered, and we took it out, and we found, like the original Coming attractions, we found stuff, but it was all covered. Then they just tore it up, put it in, and poured concrete over it. So we found some stuff there, but it still wasn't, you'd hope to find more. We did find, plaster wall. We did find a stage, but we had to get rid of the stage because it's only 5 feet deep because it was a movie theater. Yeah. And other than John Balkman telling us he saw Hopalong Cassidy's horse on the stage once when, because the Grand was kind of a grade B theater, cowboy shows and that kind of thing. The Capitol was still operating, and that's where, if you went to see Casablanca in 1943, or whatever year it was, you went there to see it. But anyway, we wish there was more. Yeah. But we do have the plaster walls outside of the theater, and again, it was not a grand theater other than in name. So
that sounds like a lot of work. So how does all that get paid for?
Well, it was a lot of things. We had some support initially from the city on some engineering work. We went to the legislature we had a loan from then Farmers Bank to purchase the building from Jim Morris, and then we went to the legislature and in 2006 we're able to get a $488,000 appropriation. So then we were able to buy the Hendrick House, which is where our offices are, which was another building but adjacent to the theater. And then the county levied a hotel room tax under the statute that could be used for performing arts centers. And that in 2006 happened in December, and the sum of all those things added up to what, along with people donating money in Frankfurt, but we would have never, at least I can say, I don't believe we could have ever done it but for those large pieces of support we got from the city, state, and the county. We just, we're not Louisville where you got Brown-Forman and you got all these big companies and everything, but we got it done.
Yeah.
We got it
done. So let's talk about, now that we're here, let's talk about the fall season.
Okay.
What are you excited? What are the
Yeah, we are. It's our back. We're back, as I mentioned. We had to go down to where we had 3,500 people, then 9,000, and then 15,500, and we're back with 16 shows, which we haven't had since before COVID. And we've got I think a diverse season. We are trying to move toward more young artists or younger artists, I would say, though we've had great success with the Byrds, Roger McGuinn and Garrison Keillor and all that. But we have coming up next week a tribute show to Olivia Newton-John that we're excited about. She died 13 months ago, I guess, and I found out about this woman with developing a show about a year ago, and we're going to show that. We're going to have that. And then we've got this amazing show coming up called Rising Appalachia, these two sisters. The show's almost sold out. We've got about 15 tickets left. Oh, wow. So it's very popular. Yeah, there's their picture, and they've got a huge fan base. I had a woman call over the weekend. We're driving from Milwaukee, and we didn't have any, frankly, of the better tickets left. But I said, you better buy these, and maybe we can offer you something if somebody gives back their tickets. Michael Cleveland's after that. If I keep going, is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
You tell me now.
No. We've got them all.
Michael Cleveland is like the number one fiddle player in the world. He's a blind guy that 12 times has been the top by whatever association picks it. Bella Fleck says he's the greatest in the world. Of course, Bella we revere because he's come to the theater 3 times, and he's the best banjo player in the world. I think is generally
fiddle player.
Yeah. But we're excited, and he was born in Henryville, which is metropolitan Louisville, just north of the Jefferson County area. So, and then we're really excited about. we're having a live performance by the Paramount Players in Ashland of Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah. Now Kathy is really
I'm
excited.
very excited.
Well, you
about
better get
this.
tickets too.
Okay,
It's selling
okay,
also.
I know.
You better get them. But
Well, I
we
had
really,
other plans, but I'm trying to shift those plans in order to get tickets.
I think you should, because we've shown the movie. We showed it last year
Yeah.
for Capitol Pride, but
Yeah.
this is a little different. And I have to say, we've never had something where people aren't fully dressed on the stage,
Right.
much, but much of the time, and where we don't have a transvestite from outer space, and where we're hoping we are rating it R, but we're hoping that we don't have any of the culture wars in Frankfurt come our way across the river. We don't think we will. So
Right.
far, nobody's been anything but excited about it.
I
But
think it's going to be great.
Yeah.
I think so too, and we are really happy to be doing that. And then I guess after you want me to keep going,
Yeah,
right?
let's
Okay.
go. It's a great
well,
lineup.
one thing we do have, we're showing Rain Man the movie next week. I didn't mention that,
Right.
and then Scarface next month. That
Yeah.
of course both have big followings. I remember how good Dustin Hoffman
Oh,
and
man.
Tom Cruise were together in Rain Man. And then obviously Al Pacino
Right.
blew the place off, and as well as everybody who was
Everybody on
around
the
anyway.
screen.
But with that pile of cocaine in his bedroom. But anyway, we've got those. But then we're going to have this amazing collage dance. These two black dancers from New York went to Memphis to create a dance company for black people, and have done that. And it's I saw them. They do this show called Rise, where they dance, and they're all people of color. Now there are a bunch of them that are from Brazil and places. They're not, but they do it to Martin Luther King's speech the day he was murdered. And of course they're Memphis, and they're coming here, and that's exciting. And then we got Tab Benoit, our other biggest selling show. Well, I forgot that Ace Frehley, we're having the co-founder
Yeah.
of KISS. We're
I was
having
gonna
him.
say.
He's not in our season, but we still have good tickets for that. But
I was wondering when those tickets first came out, I was like, my husband would love that. But that's my birthday, and I don't know.
Oh,
if
yeah.
that's
You don't
how
wanna
I
go
should
see
spend
Ace
my
Frehley for your
birthday.
birthday?
well, yeah, I can't speak to that other than he is an icon, and I've had people ask me about that show, but and then I already mentioned Tab Benoit's our second best-selling show.
Yeah. Well, and I'm from New Orleans. I
Yeah.
know. I mean, Steve's a big guitar guy. I mean,
Yeah.
Tab Benoit guitar is unbelievable. So that'll be a great show.
Which one would you choose?
Me personally, I would go see Tab Benoit
Okay.
over Ace Frehley, but I'm more of that kind of style than KISS.
And we've had great luck with and I think, as I said, his show, I think we got 30 tickets left. So, it's 90-something% sold right now.
Right.
So it's doing really well. And, of course, then we have Joan Osborne, who's from Louisville originally,
yeah.
has been in New York for many years, that we had her once before. And we still have good tickets to her show, but I expect it to be a sellout for sure as we get closer.
Yeah.
And then Bluegrass Theater Guild, they're going to do Elf. We love partnering with them, as we do the Nutcracker and the shows that, are community shows.
The Christmas
and
stuff, for sure.
I think that one will be a really neat to have them do that. So that's our fall. And I mean, we have other stuff we're doing, but that, whether it's the Nutcracker in December, it's our largest event in terms of number of people. We have, I think, 1,500 come to see it, when Kentucky Dance Academy puts it on. But we've got all that coming up.
And do you guys are season tickets still an option for folks? Or are they sold out, or is that?
Well, we have had one show, but we still have maybe 4 that could be purchased for the balance of the season.
Okay.
Now, by the end of next week, that won't be doable because we'll only have 2 of the 16 shows will be gone.
Sure.
But we would try to work anyone that wants a bulk number of shows, we want to try to make it work.
Yeah.
And we would provide some sort of discount.
Okay.
Sheila White in our ticket office is great at doing that, and we would want people to consider.
I see
whatever
something
they
in
want.
here. What is this? The Met Opera Dead Man Walking?
Okay, we live stream from the Metropolitan Opera House in New York.
Okay.
The opera. The opera started a couple years ago, trying to move into more contemporary. Had to do with, frankly, audience and to say that sometimes our shows have old people like me. The Met Opera is older than the older audience than that.
Sure.
But yeah, it's the Susan Sarandon. I mean, it's not. She's not in it, but it's the show of whatever the name of she was, the sister or whatever, and of Sean Penn.
Yeah.
And an incredible singer named Joyce DiDonato sings the Susan Sarandon role. And then I can't remember the guy's name who sang Sean Penn.
Yeah.
But it is an opera that, because it's in English, frankly, it doesn't scare people. And it is a movie that was revered. You know, I can't remember if anybody won the Academy Award for it, but it was an amazing film that to see as it progressed. But yeah, they do that some, and then we'll have, you know, traditional opera that, you know, people know. I right now can't tell Nabucco. The others, I can't tell you what all of them are, but we do that. See, one of the things to provide to all kind of audiences is what we want to do at the Grand.
Right.
And you know, you can go to the movie theater in Lexington or Louisville and see that opera, but here we're doing it, in, you know, where it really doesn't make sense unless you've got people like me and Sheila and Jeremy who are willing to work the show and not be paid to do it, you know, or not be paid anything extra. So we do it. We love to do it, and yes, we have a small audience, but it's something that. It's a really nice thing, frankly, also to put on our grant applications.
I think that's what they literally call a labor of love.
It has been for a lot of people. Again, we're almost, with the exception of a couple people, everybody's a volunteer who works at the grant, and they do it because they love the community.
Yeah.
They want us to bring people from out of town. I think we already had 8 states that are coming to Rising Appalachia. Just real quick, a show we had last, a guy named Pokey Lafarge. I'd never heard of Pokey Lafarge. We had him back in May. We had people from 13 states come to Frankfurt to see that. One of our primary purposes is tourism, and to be able to do that, because these people from Milwaukee that are coming to Rising Appalachia said, well, tell us a neat place to stay. And then I said, well, the next day is Keeneland, and the next day is Bourbon on the Bank. So you ought to come down and stay here, and then go to Josephine Sculpture Park. Right. You know, because they're arts people, obviously. Well, not obviously, but they are arts people. But anyway, it's a part of our mission is all that. And I hope I'm not rambling too much.
No, that's what we like to do.
I could spend a lot of time, and I try. But hopefully you all let me come back and talk about the spring season.
Oh, yeah.
Winter, spring, because we've got a lot of shows then that would take us beyond where maybe we want to be right now.
No, absolutely. So we do want you to come back.
Okay.
And we want to talk about, because you've taken us through Christmas, and so we want you to come back after that, talk about things coming up in 2024.
Yeah.
Because I'm based on what we've seen for the end of this year, I'm sure there'll be a lot more exciting things.
Oh, yeah. There are. Thank you all so much, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so if people want to get tickets or any of the events.
Oh, yes. Info at thegrandky.com. You can buy tickets to most all our shows, or a few things maybe you can't. And then the other is to call 352-7469, our number. And as I said, Sheila White's our ticket office manager, and either Sheila or Jeremy will answer the phone there and can sell you tickets to anything we've got, the movies and everything, you know.
And if you want to help,
we'd
be happy to take volunteers.
Thank you for bringing that.
Yeah.
We need more volunteers. We have the original group, a number of them are a little farther along than me, and they're not volunteers anymore. And we've even lost a few of those. But yes, we need, and Sheila, that's the same way. The website or calling the ticket office and talking to Sheila or Jeremy. I mean, somebody can ask me too, but it's better to do that.
Yeah.
They're more organized.
So are there any perks of being a volunteer?
Well, we give you mostly it's a love of labor too, but a labor of love. I got that transposed, but we give you a ticket to a future movie or other event, not one of the big live shows.
Right.
You have to have more than one for that. Yeah. But and then popcorn and a soft drink.
There you go.
So at the event, so you do have the ability, and there are people that do it, and they give the ticket to their spouse or partner to come to the movie, because you can also watch it, of course, or watch the live show.
Okay.
On it.
Right.
Yep.
See, that works.
Well, thanks, Bill, for coming to visit, and we hope to see you again in a couple months. We'll talk about what's
You will if you let me.
Absolutely.
Okay.